This is dedicated to the niggas that was down from day one. Welcome to Death Row.
Like we always do about this time.
Everything.
Oh my gosh, we're starting it off like that? Hold on.
Maintaining your composure is.
Let's start off. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another reaction video. Today, I will react to the biggest fall off in hip hop history, or fall offs, as the multiple people in hip hop history. Created by Hip Hop Madness. Original video will be in the description. I know I'm stuffing my face right now, but do you guys have any snacks? Look, I have roast. Look at this meat. Look at my meat. You guys see my meat? You guys look how I'm showing you guys my meat. And then I have this hard ass garlic bread. Let's get into it though.
Crucial for anyone in the public eye, particularly in a culture like hip hop where your every move is eternally under scrutiny, with fans willing to rip you apart the moment you lose your cool and turn you into a meme. At times, acting out of pocket can be detrimental to your career.
The baby claimed that he lost 100 mil.
Maintaining your composure is crucial for anyone in the public eye, particularly in a culture like hip hop where your every move is eternally under scrutiny, with fans willing to rip you apart the moment you lose your cool and turn you into a meme. At times, acting out of pocket can be detrimental to your career. Other times, it can create timeless stories that live on in hip hop history as the moment this rapper went too far, while in the most extreme cases, it can cause them to lose everything, including their freedom. So without further ado, these are the biggest crash outs in hip hop history.
Number 9.
In 2015,
The seven.
from the stories that live on in hip hop history is the moment this rapper went too far, while in the most extreme cases, it can cause them to lose everything, including their freedom. So without further ado, these are the biggest crash outs in hip hop history.
The $7 million dentist appointment. Look at his tattoos. What? Bro, please don't get no tattoos on your faces like this. Like, this is ugly, bro. Like, look at this.
In 2015, Priscilla Rainey, a contestant on the VH1 reality show She Got Game, accused the game of during filming. The show, similar to The Bachelor, followed the game as he chose between 10 women while navigating his life of music videos, parties, and celebrity encounters. Ironically, one of the standout moments on the show was when Priscilla got into a physical altercation with another contestant, forcing the game to decide who would stay and who would be sent home. Little did he know he would soon be facing a similar decision, only this time he'd be the one crashing out. Rainey took her allegations to court, filing a lawsuit that the game decided to ignore, never showing up to defend himself. The result, Rainey won the case and was awarded a massive $7 million in damages. But instead of paying up, Game doubled down, setting off a chain of events that would drastically alter his life forever.
And I'm saying this to him. You are giving me $10 million.
Let's go!
The game decided to crash out in a way that only he could. Instead of settling the lawsuit, he created a maze of shell corporations. His hope was to avoid paying the court-ordered sum by making it appear as though he had nothing to his name. While this
That's such an ugly tattoo. So he was trying to make himself look broke.
The game decided to crash out in a way that only he could. Instead of settling the lawsuit, he created a maze.
On December 29th, Rainey argued that the game has been employing sneaky business tactics to avoid paying out his $7 million judgment. In the paperwork, Rainey alleged that the game transferred several high-value assets, including his California mansion, estimated at $2.8 million, trademarks, and even cash funds to shell companies JTT Holdings, Inc., F12 Associates, the Fifth Amendment Entertainment, and Pass Go to Win LLC, and his manager WAC 100 to avoid being seized by the courts on Rainey's behalf via
shell corporations. His hope was to avoid paying the court-ordered sum by making it appear as though he had nothing to his name.
Remember when he smacked that one dude during the basketball game?
The situation only spiraled when the game tried to countersue Viacom, the parent company of VH1, for $20 million, blaming them for not properly vetting Rainey.
In November 2016, a jury ruled in Rainey's favor and awarded her $7.1 million in a new complaint filed Monday in California federal court. Taylor, the game, argues that the network failed to ensure contestants were suitable to complete the program. The suit alleges that Rainey passed a logical exam during the casting process, but the doctor approved her without saying, what? That makes no sense, nigga.
Claimed that Rainey was mentally ill, a desperate attempt to reverse the court's decision. But of course, the lawsuit flopped, leaving him with the same $7 million bill hanging over his head.
I'm broke.
You're broke.
Yeah, I don't have a dime.
Yep.
Borrowed shirt. borrowed
all
glasses.
the cars or someone else's.
And it all could have been avoided when the original lawsuit was
Nigga, you don't
served.
handle
The
your
game
money
had
well.
a chance to fight it or settle, probably
one
for
of
a
the
fraction
top
of what it
rappers.
ended up
Bro,
costing
you what?
his manager, Wack 100.
You was one of the top rappers on the West Coast in the 2000s. What are you talking about? You ain't broke. You ain't manage your money well. Nigga, hits ain't
Reportedly
hitting.
begged him to
Where
attend the
50
court
Cent
hearing,
at?
but the game declined, citing a dentist appointment. Yes, a dentist appointment. By refusing to show up, the judge ruled by default in Rainey's favor. Today, Rainey holds a legal judgment that entitles her to seize nearly everything the game owns. From his streaming revenue to his touring deals, she has the legal right to garnish any asset in his
Crazy.
name. This has even led to the game no longer owning property in his name, with his mansion reportedly now in Wack 100's name. And any big purchases are likely off limits due to the looming debt. This is a textbook example of crashing out. A single misstep, or in this case, a missed court date, led to life-altering consequences. But for our next case study, we'll see how
Crazy.
one of the game's long-standing...
Make sure that's a dope ass photo. Make sure y'all go to y'all court dates. First off, don't even get in trouble. Don't do anything you have no business doing. That's number
enemies
one.
let his vengeful,
That's a
spiteful
dope-ass
ways
photo.
get the best of him and wound up carving a path towards bankruptcy court. You know what really pisses me off about the TikTok ban? One of the main justifications that the Supreme Court cited was TikTok's vast collection of its users' data. Basically,
Yeah, I already knew. Shut your ass up, nigga. I did not know you look like that. Are you Asian? Okay.
bankruptcy filing after a reckless move that cost him millions. The beef between 50 and Rick Ross started out as a typical rap.
Who doesn't beef with 50 Cent? Hold on, let me start over here.
You can go to my link, aura.com/hiphopmadness to
no,
try
I'm not getting
14
paid
days for
to
free.
sponsor you.
That will be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed. Got that? All right, let's get back to the video.
All right, let's do that.
One of the biggest crash outs in hip hop history has to be the moment 50 Cent walked out with a bankruptcy filing after a reckless move that cost him millions. The beef between 50 and Rick Ross started out as a typical rap rivalry. Along the way, the ever devious Curtis Jackson decided to delve into the past of his rival, making it his mission to expose his history as a prison officer.
Well, I can already see from here, from where I'm at, this is a total fraud. You're gonna really understand how resourceful I am, and you're gonna see what happens when someone comes from the environment and absorbs all of the new information.
The smear campaign was so extensive that he even made a cartoon mocking his past as a CEO. Eventually, however, in typical 50 fashion, things took a turn when he got one of Ross's baby mamas involved to clarify that he truly had been on the other side of the law than what he betrayed.
Let me ask you a question. Did you know Rick
Women, bro. I don't, bro. These fucking niggas and women, bro. My gosh.
But 50 took it to a whole new level when he leaked a tape featuring
Ugly
Rick
ass
Ross's
hat.
ex, Lastonia Leviston. An illicit video that he commentated on with his pimpin' curly persona. 50 probably saw this as just another act of war. But this
That's illegal.
wasn't just about diss tracks, bars, and online exposure anymore. This was a personal attack that ended up costing 50 more than he could have imagined. In 2015, Leviston sued 50 for invasion of privacy, and the
Exactly.
jury came
Alright,
down
bro,
hard,
that's illegal.
ordering him to pay $5 million plus an additional $2 million in punitive damages.
Yeah,
Instead
trying
of
to
handling
do
it,
trying
50
to do all that trolling, thinking it's cute, and then you doing something illegal and not knowing it. Come on, bro. I thought you were supposed to be a bit. Hey, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. Bars.
decided
Come
to
on,
crash
bro. You're
out
supposed to know better.
completely, and this would result in one of the most legendary memes in hip-hop. 50 filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, trying to dodge the financial hit. This move, while legal, had the world clowning him. The man who dropped Get Rich or Die Trying was now claiming he couldn't afford to pay up. But the crash didn't stop there. 50 Cent wasn't just dealing with Leviston's lawsuit. He was also hit with another $17 million judgment from a failed headphone deal with Sleek Audio. All in all, 50 owed an astounding $22 million in debts. A huge fall for someone who had once been on top of the world. What made this crash out even worse was that while 50 was filing for bankruptcy, he was still flaunting stacks of cash on social media. It was like he couldn't stop himself from playing into the image, even while his finances were in shambles. The courts didn't buy the act either, calling him back in to explain himself multiple times. In the end, 50 did manage
Shit,
to
I
settle
would have
his
too.
debts
I
by
would have, bro.
2017.
If I was the judge, I'd be like, hey, bro, we got photos of you. Nigga, Sofa made all the money, bro. Hey, come cough that up, man. Come cough that up.
But not
Hey, you
without
got
damaging his
Is that a penny in your pocket? Cough that up too, man.
public image.
We need
In the
it, bro.
process, he even attempted to countersue Rick Ross to recoup some of his losses, only for it to be thrown out of court. Although I have no ill will towards Curtis personally, I believe he truly dislikes me. Ross wrote in an attempt to draw the line under
I
the
didn't
beef.
know that
It's
they were
obvious that
beefing in the
Curtis and
first
I have
place.
had
Why
our
were
beef
they
over the
beefing?
years,
That
but
weak-ass
enough is
beef.
enough. From being one of the richest rappers in the game to
Maybach
filing
music.
bankruptcy, 50 Cent's reckless move of leaking the tape and refusing to pay up showed that even the most calculated hustlers can crash out in spectacular fashion. But speaking of cracking jokes,
Gosh,
our
Joe
next
Budden.
crash out is one that spawned a million memes.
Budden versus OVO
Back in
teams.
2016, Joe Budden was just beginning his journey into hip-hop media. At the time, he was still an active rapper, and the show that would become the legendary Joe Budden podcast was still known as I'll Name This Podcast Later. The content was much the same, with Joe dispensing his opinions about what's going on in rap. But what he didn't know was that delivering his opinions on the Drake record Views would lead to not only a high-profile beef between them, but one of the most comical crash outs in hip-hop history. It started with his claims that Drake's latest record, Views, was underwhelming.
I think that kid on that album that I heard sounds real uninspired. I miss the Drake that starts the waves, not hops on other waves. And I'll say it again. I miss Drake that pushes the agenda.
As the word spread, a leaked reference track of Drake and French Montana's No Shopping revealed that Drizzy was intending to fire back by alluding to Joe's infamous early 2000s smash single.
Pump it up.
She got a good head on her, but I pump it up. I'm not a one-hit wonder, they all know my stuff. You let me turn into the that you almost was. This, of course, lit a fire under Joe, with Budden releasing 2 diss tracks and making and Woke before Drake and French even officially dropped the track. Try as he might to act like he wasn't bothered, Joe let this slight from Drizzy linger on his mind to the point that it enraged him.
Drake is texting, they're sending the record around, so now I hear what is said. Whoa, now I'm hurt. I am hurt. I'm appalled that who know my pen game. He know I don't play. He know I don't care about none of that fame, success, attention, none of that. He know what I do.
When someone doesn't properly deal with their anger, then it might come out in crazy ways. But even then, no one quite expected for Joe to lose his mind like he did when some Drake fans decided to pull up to his crib. What followed was one of the most bizarre chase scenes in hip-hop history.
I mean, that's
literally couldn't make this up.
And then a nigga ran up on you, in your crib or like on your property. I mean, that's kind of valid to chase the person. I mean, that's valid.
Dressed in a worn-out t-shirt with a hole in it and flip-flops, took off after the OVO fans, creating an unforgettable moment in rap lore.
Damn.
Apparently, this went on for the rest of the day, with Joe miraculously catching up to them and hitting their car windows with his rocks. Later, Joe even revealed that he wanted to put hands on what appeared to be little more than kids.
And because I'm super petty in my head and had absolutely nothing better to do on a Sunday, I said, I'm gonna catch one of them and I'm gonna bring them in here and beat they.
Right. As it turns out, these attackers were 16 years old, and as opposed to getting his gun as he briefly contemplated, the deranged, then Slaughterhouse member decided to go to their house and snitch to their parents. The whole thing was super bizarre, leading to endless memes. But above all, this story should serve as a stern warning to other rappers as to why you can't let a little online feud get under your skin to that extent. Because if you're not careful, you might wind up looking as feral as Joe Budden in his t-shirt, threatening to kill teenage Drake stans. But for our next crash out, beef wasn't really the catalyst for a catastrophic downfall. Instead, it was a man with superstar potential who continually got in his own way.
Another Friday night at the bar.
She look good.
Gymshark. We do gym.
Shut up. I do gym. I do you.
Refresh the everyday with Mentos Gum.
They are over-exaggerating. None of that will happen. That's a great shot right there. Good cinematography. That's another good shot.
This is big.
Okay, next. The Baby.
In 2019, the Baby
yeah,
burst
he
onto
was.
the rap
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, the Baby was wildin'. Yeah.
Waves with an infectious flow and hit after hit. Fans simply couldn't get enough. His track Rockstar shot straight to the top of the Billboard charts, and he even found his way onto Dua Lipa's smash single Levitating, which now boasts over 2 billion streams. At that point, it seems like the Baby could do no wrong. He was one of the biggest rappers out, and surely his music would overshadow any minor slip-ups. Right? Wrong. The Baby's rise to fame has been marred by a string of violent incidents, questionable decisions, and reckless behavior that have overshadowed his talent. His public, quote-unquote, crash out began as early as 2018 when, in November, he unalived a 19-year-old man in a North Carolina Walmart. While the Baby claimed self-defense and charges were eventually dropped, this marked the beginning of a pattern that would continue to unfold over the next few years. By 2020, the Baby's controversies only grew more frequent. In December, footage surfaced showing him allegedly a property owner in Los Angeles during a music video shoot. Then there was the infamous Gucci store incident, which saw a crowd chaser antagonize
I was
him.
a freshman in high school, and that was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, this was funny. She said, "Excuse me."
Only for the Baby and his crew to put serious beats on. Now, we could probably dedicate this entire video to the Baby's every altercation, but to save time, the biggest turning point came in July when the Baby made certain comments during his Rolling Loud Miami performance, setting off a wave of backlash that led to his cancellation from multiple festivals.
Lady, if you smell like water, put a cell phone light in the fellas. Lights up. Fellas, if you ain't in the parking lot, put your cell phone like
Let's be real.
In an attempt at damage control, DaBaby met with awareness organizations, but even that effort was short-lived because many of those groups later reported that there had been no follow-up contact, damaging his public image. In the process, he lost endorsement deals with Boohoo, felt the wrath of Elton John, and, according to him, lost tens of millions of dollars.
I had $30 million worth of shows on the schedule before December 31st.
Like I said, bro, in the beginning, bro, the alphabet people, hey, if you come at them people, well, as a comedian, if you come at them people, bro, you gotta do it strategically. Cause them niggas don't play. They will, bro, cancel you in a heartbeat. And just like that, the $100 million down the drain.
I'm on private plane, but it is what it is. It go how it go.
Fast forward to 2022, DaBaby was involved in a physical altercation with Danny Lee's brother at a Los Angeles bowling alley, and later that year,
he stayed, bro. This nigga loves fighting, bro. Just do boxing.
Worth of shows on the schedule before.
I'm trying to say I'm out. I'm out bowling. I'm down. I'm in the lane. Oh shit! Hold on, they fighting. Like, bro, come on, bro. I can't even get a strike real quick. Y'all, they actually striking. You know what I'm saying? Striking each other.
I'm on private plane, but it is what it is. It go how it go.
Fast forward to 2022, DaBaby was involved in a physical altercation with Danny Lee's brother at a Los Angeles bowling alley, and later that year, he was charged with felony battery for the assault on the Los Angeles property owner back in 2020. If that wasn't enough, in May, DaBaby shot a trespasser at his North Carolina estate. Though no charges were filed, it only added to the growing narrative that DaBaby's career was spiraling out of control. By 2024, DaBaby had pleaded guilty to misdemeanor simple battery for the incident with the property owner, a legal situation that had followed him for years. From 2018 to 2024, DaBaby's timeline is littered with legal issues, public backlash, and actions that have turned one of the hottest rappers in the game into a cautionary tale of crashing out, where bad decisions and unchecked behavior overshadowed his early promise and dominance in the music industry. Our next two entries come from a man who does hold weight over a particular section of hip-hop, but that doesn't mean he isn't capable of embarrassing himself, particularly when it comes to women.
Tom and Jerry.
DJ Akademiks' spat with Erykah Badu is a prime example of how personal bottled up beef can escalate into something much more chaotic. It all started with an appearance that Badu made on Everyday Struggle, where she walked in with her signature incense and energy, immediately setting a tone that left Akademiks confused. What started as a lighthearted interaction turned into a viral moment when Badu compared him to the character Jerry from Tom and Jerry. Initially, Akademiks tried to laugh it off, playing along and trying to be liked by the spiritual and enigmatic Badu.
It makes me want to eat cereal. Whatever I'm feeling.
What's that on her mouth,
you know, though? You look like Jerry, the mouse from Tom and Jerry.
I think that's a piercing. That's pretty funny, though. He do look like that.
But it didn't stop there. While Akademiks wasn't immediately angry, he started noticing Badu making sly references and retweets, which made it clear she was enjoying the viral moment at his expense. And rather than leaving it as a funny exchange, Akademiks' ego got the better of him. It festered inside of him, and in typical Crash Out fashion, he decided to respond in a way that took the trolling to the next level. 7 long years later, after brewing over the incident, Akademiks unleashed a spiteful, drunken rant aimed at Badu. The whole episode was a disaster. It was a Crash Out move fueled by his inability to let go of the embarrassment, and his saltiness over the incident was obscene. Headphone users, brace yourselves.
I never
yeah, y'all do that.
Show and she was trying to be funny. I'm with you after that. What's up now? What we finna do? Just keep getting by all these young popping. What we finna do? Came in here waving on top of wands and I'm trying to be nice to you. Now I realize, you was trying to play me like I'm some clown. You, how many rappers done ran through you? None of you. Stop playing. How many young rappers you chased trying to them too? Stop playing.
Chill.
What you talking about? I'm not playing with none of y'all.
Claiming that Everyday Struggle was quote-unquote another era, it's evident that Axe still harbors a lot of resentment over how the industry viewed him before he clambered up to the ranks of one of the biggest media figures in hip-hop. So now that he's got his own major platform, he's actually incentivized to get into beefs as it only brings more eyeballs.
But he should have just chalked that up and took it on the chin.
Retaliating with her own clever clapback. She released Incense, humorously inspired by Akademiks, complete with Tom and Jerry branding, calling it and laughing her way to the bank as it sold out instantly. While Akademiks thought he was getting his revenge, Badu managed to flip the narrative and profit from the situation, making him look even more foolish in the process. What started as a playful troll became a long, drawn-out feud, with Akademiks coming out looking petty, while Badu simply turned the situation into another savvy business move. But not without playing him at his own game with an IG video of her while she made light of his extreme reaction.
I learned something super valuable today. I learned today that something I said 5 years ago, and just when we all laughed, actually triggered someone's really deep-rooted trauma. They kept it bottled up for a while and it hurt them so bad. Had them out in these streets acting real.
Because of incidents like this, there's a nasty perception that Academics is never as brazen as he is in online warfare as he is when he's sounding off on black women. Though this isn't entirely accurate, as he's been equally, if not more, disrespectful to male rappers. Optics are everything in this game. Unfortunately, the next incident on the list would only strengthen that belief amongst his haters, and with good reason.
For Amazon. Bitch.
This situation with Academics and SZA began during his time on Everyday Struggle, when Ak was preparing to interview SZA alongside Joe Budden and Nadeska Alexis. The night before the interview, Ak hopped on his live stream, interacting with his chat and asking them about SZA's appearance. The chat began to throw out descriptions, and Ak, reading their comments aloud, didn't think much of it and called her one of those Amazon. But after SZA saw clips from the stream, she was rightfully offended. Feeling disrespected, she blocked Academics on social media, and the pressure from Complex forced him to apologize publicly. Fast forward a few years, and Academics, once again drunk on stream, decided to bring up SZA after she had apparently subliminally dissed Ak in nothing more than an IG caption. This time, went off on a 10-minute tirade, body shaming her, calling out her weight, and mocking her for having surgery procedures.
Y'all be just like me, looking like a linebacker's, your neck thick as like an 32 pack of Franks, and now y'all acting like y'all bad. You as let's keep it a bean. You know you've been under the knife mad times. We don't care how much you show that little botch BBL. You need to get back to the doctor one more time, and I'm gonna stand on it, man.
It was a full-blown crash out moment for Academics. His pettiness and anger took over, and he couldn't let it go. The insults were harsh and out of line, and it wasn't long before this came back to bite him. When Drake was recording with SZA for their collaboration, he allegedly had to step in. Knowing how much SZA was shaken by Academics' comment and that TDE's Punch had already tried to rectify the situation, Drake reached out to Ak and asked him to apologize to SZA. And given Academics' perpetual glazing of Drake, it's no surprise he fell in line. The goal was simple, to get SZA in the right headspace for her feature on his upcoming track. This showed just how much Ak's crash out affected SZA, to the point that even Drake had to intervene to smooth things over and ensure a solid performance from her. Academics' reckless behavior not only put him in a bad light, but also required one of the biggest names in the industry to clean up his mess, showing once again how a crash out moment can spiral out of control, impacting both personal and
was he wrong? Yeah, like, bro.
Sometimes a moment of brashness can have far more dangerous connotations, threatening to turn an already volatile situation into something deadly.
Who was this?
This year, Taco Bell is making fans the stars of their big game, not celebrities.
You're about to get dysentery.
Wait, is that Doja Cat?
Don't eat that. Doja Cat, hold on. Now, she's on some nut shit,
threatening
though.
to turn an already volatile situation into something deadly.
Henry Clark III, Gucci Mane versus Young Jeezy.
If you're not aware, Gucci Mane and Jeezy were embroiled in a war with one another for years. Beginning in 2005 with a dispute over which artist's album would house the track Icy, things escalated into disses between the former collaborators fairly quickly. At one stage, Jeezy even put a bounty on his fellow Atlanta rappers.
Damn. Remember when Jeezy was in, what's that one movie with Mike Epps and Ice Cube? Janky Promoters. Jeezy was in that movie. I should check it out. It's a W movie. Real talk, N-word, and I want that mother effing bullets ass icy chain, because you need to take that money S-word off. You embarrassing us, N-word. Matter of fact, real talk, N-word. I got a bounty on that S-word, N-word, 10 stacks. So you put $10,000 on this nigga's head and you rapped about it, okay? Looks like that's not gonna get you incarcerated. He looks like Gangsta-licious, low-key.
After a couple of tracks were sent back and forth, things took a turn for the worse when Jeezy was ambushed by 4 men while visiting a female friend. As they stormed into the home, Gucci started blasting, and a man named Henry Clark III was shot in the quarrel. His body found days later near a middle school. Henry Clark III was lesser known as Corporate Thug's entertainment rapper Pookie Loc, a close associate of Jeezy. And while the Thug Motivation rapper denied any involvement, the whole thing led to decades of bad blood between the two rap pioneers. Acquitted of murder in early 2006, in the most gangster way, Gucci always insisted he didn't regret it and he simply did what had to be done, including commemorating the murder on the track Truth.
Even with the murder, even though it was self-defense, do you ever think about that and you think like maybe I could have handled that different, especially when you did like the diss record?
He needed to be in the ground. He tried.
Somehow, they managed to broker enough of a truce to square off in a verses against one another. But it turns out, Guwap wasn't done, and during the showdown, he still openly dissed Pookie right to Jeezy's face. Not once, but several times.
So dig your partner up, he can't say put that in the dirt.
I tell you what.
Smoking on Pukalote tonight.
With Guwap and Jeezy in close proximity for the first time in years, things really could have gone left. In hindsight,
I've never heard of this. This is actually, sponsored by Chronix. Ain't that P. Diddy's? I never seen this. They have two rappers who, first off, it would be cool if it was like recent rappers. Nobody want to see these old ass rappers fucking beefing.
Hands weren't thrown on IG Live, and cooler heads prevailed. But that isn't always the case, as some infamous incidents have been caught on camera for the whole world to see.
Stitches,
a little while ago, a Miami rapper emerged by the name of Stitches, a brash, extensively tattooed MC whose career was built around his reputation as a dealer. Stitches knew that beef was the fast track to fame in hip-hop. So he started to cast the net for major artists to squabble with, and before long, he found one in the game. Now, if you know anything about Jayceon Taylor, that's one man who's never shied away from confrontation. And once the barbs started flying back and forth, it didn't take long for things to get a little crazy, particularly as Stitches continually provoked and taunted him online.
The game. That should be your name. TMI gang, that's my squad. I make a phone call and you in your dog. I get a green light to shoot you at the red light. What, that's a bad night.
This would all come to a head when Game slid through Stitches' native Miami. After claiming he was looking for Game, Stitches pulled up at his request to Club Story, where things got out of hand. Soon, Wack 100 had to take one for the team to safeguard Game from potentially going back to jail and teed off on Stitches, sending him to the ground like a lumberjack does a tree. Although this was a real L for Stitches after an attempt to make his name off an established MC, he ultimately believed, at the time at least, that getting knocked out on camera was beneficial to his career.
Man, shut your ass up. I don't want to hear all that. All that tough talk.
That should be your name.
He lucky he ain't get shot.
That's my squad. I make a phone call and you in your dog. I get a green light to shoot you at the red light. What, that's a bad night.
This would all come to a head when Game slid through Stitches' native Miami. After claiming he was looking for Game, Stitches pulled up at his request to Club Story, where things got out of hand. Soon, Wack 100 had to take one for the team to safeguard Game from potentially going back to jail and teed off on Stitches, sending him to the ground like a lumberjack does a tree. Although this was a real L for Stitches after an attempt to make his name off an established MC, he ultimately believed, at the time at least, that getting knocked out on camera was beneficial to his career. At the end of the day, I don't like that much. But I could thank him too. He's helped me a little bit. My record sales going up, my views going up. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of negative,
gun to the back of your head. Name me 5 songs by him.
But it's clear that any upside Stitches saw from it was short-lived, because the last we heard from him until recently was in 2022 when he was arrested on gun charges. Now he's back out after posting bond. But these days, he's essentially unrecognizable save for his signature tattoos. But if you thought that was bad, nothing compares to our final and most emphatic crash out on the list.
Yep.
A man who provided endless entertainment and drama in 2024, even if it was at the expense of his credibility. Unless you've been living under a very large rock, you'll be well aware by now of the beef between Kendrick and Drake. We won't about that side story, but after trading bars, Drake was resoundingly defeated. And for a lot of people who'd always preyed on his downfall, it was a time for celebration. Still, even with all of the ultimately unproven allegations swirling around him, there was plenty of ground for him to come back like nothing happened. After all, he was still the commercial king of hip-hop. But it's since become clear that this was just one L too many for Drake, because he hasn't put a foot right since. Now, it's been one haphazard move after another. After releasing a series of weird tracks, including his baffling feature on Wagwan Delilah, Drake has struggled to regain his footing. But even then, it was looking salvageable, until he crashed out in a way that would get him clowned by the entire culture. Toward the end of 2024, it was revealed that Drake was suing UMG, accusing the label of artificially boosting streams of Kendrick Lamar's diss track, Not Like Us. According to his complaint, UMG conspired with and paid currently parties to use quote-unquote bots to artificially inflate the spread of Not Like Us and deceive consumers into believing the song was more popular than it was. From there, he claimed that online sources reported that when users asked Siri to play songs by Drake, Siri instead played Not Like Us, which contains the lyric certified you know what. In response, UMG quote-unquote pointed the finger at Kendrick and insisted that Drake should sue who he really wants to sue. But however that plays out, suing over a diss record is the least hip-hop thing you could do. And now, both those who've longed for Drake's downfall and others who used to play the fence feel that this might be irreparable. Now, taking aim at a song which many people generally saw as the anthem of the summer, his claims that the numbers were somehow inflated were obviously seen as baseless when you consider how tangibly big the track was. And to make matters worse for Drake, it seems all the more absurd when he's been one of the biggest beneficiaries of the industry and DSPs pushing him to the moon. Remember, this was the same guy whose Scorpion album was so inescapable on Spotify that people demanded refunds after he virtually took over every playlist. In essence, this means that he's now lashing out at the same hierarchy that Kanye claimed had once guided Drake's career.
Drake has a rich baby daddy named Lucien and Universal. You know what I'm saying? It's like, my daddy controlled the spins. My daddy got the DSPs. My daddy. Drake has a rich baby daddy.
Alongside being mocked by the vast majority of the culture, Drake's misery has likely been compounded by the fact that his label have refused to back down, or even offer an olive branch towards him. Because in their statement about it, they basically told him in no uncertain terms that he lost and to get over it. The suggestion that UMG would do anything to undermine any of its artists is offensive and untrue. No amount of contrived and absurd legal arguments in this pre-action submission can mask the fact that fans choose the music they want to hear. With everything that he's experiencing now, there's every likelihood that the apparent quote-unquote financial harm that he suffered from the disparaging claims on Not
Like
Us
I said, bro,
only
if Kendrick performs Not Like Us at the Super Bowl, he's gonna sue the NFL.
Going to worsen. By this point, he's far more reactive than he can afford to be, growing so combative that he's taking it out on people like Steve Lacy and NBA players like DeMar DeRozan, all the while still trying to portray himself as a tough guy on Twitch streamers' channels where he can still find a sympathetic audience.
I'm here, as you can see, fully intact, mind, body, and soul, in case you were wondering, right? And so you need facts to take me out. Fairy tales won't do it.
Fresh from taking aim at LeBron James on his Fighting Irish freestyle due to LeBron simply dancing to Kendrick's tracks, Drake is exhibiting a masterclass in what not to do when you lose a beef. Because rather than looking unbothered as he did after the whole Pusha T debacle, he's proven that this defeat has struck right to his core. And in this culture, that's something you simply can't afford. Thus, making him the perfect candidate for the biggest crash out the genre has ever seen.
Yeah. Do I agree with the list? If I look at hip hop, what other crash outs have there been in hip hop? I mean, he only took beats from this decade. I mean, he did take Jeezy and Gucci Mane. I'm thinking about the 90s. I mean, Tupac crashing out. I can't really think of any other crashing out. Snoop Dogg and fuck are they called? What was the record label? Masterpiece record label? I don't know what I'm talking about. Alright, y'all, I'm going in here. Once again, this is the biggest fall-offs in hip-hop history. Care about Hip Hop Matters original video discussion. Comment down below you guys' thoughts on this video. Comment down below. Did y'all agree with the list? Did he leave anything out? Or who y'all thought should have been on the list? Yeah. I hope y'all enjoyed this one. Now we'll see y'all in the next one. Grandson out.
Since you ain't, I even, and all of, and the justice, and even, and all of, and the, since you ain't, I even.